Hi, Sue.
Hello.
Pleased to meet you again. We've seen you a few times. Just give me a brief history of where we are from your eye point of view. When did things start? What have we had done? And kind of up to where we are now.
Yeah, okay. I was diagnosed with dry macular degeneration about 15 years ago.
Okay.
So at that point I was still at work. I went to the hospital a few times, and then they said, we're going to discharge you and the opticians will look after you, because nothing was happening. And to be honest, for most of the time, probably for about 8 years, 9 years or so, I just functioned perfectly normally in terms of I was able to see things. The only thing that I couldn't do was drive at night.
Okay.
And I was in a job where sometimes I was expected to do on call at night, and I had to come off that.
All right.
Because I really couldn't do.
Yeah. So was that when you said about obviously the nighttime driving and obviously work, was there any issues there with?
No, because I was the boss.
Okay, that's fair enough. It always helps.
Yeah.
So,
but there was maybe, I don't know, maybe there might have been a little bit of resentment from other people who said, well, gosh, you know, because the thing is, you look all right and you can function and you're doing things. And,
yeah, absolutely with that, yeah.
Yeah, so.
It's kind of like, maybe look like favouritism, is it?
Yeah. You just write the rota without you on it.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
I do.
And say, well, I will do it. How I did it was I did the when they'd been out on call, I did this feed. They could feed back to me, you see, and then then I could go to bed. So.
Okay, so what happened? So that was about 8 years ago?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was diagnosed with a cataract. The optician, I think, had referred me to the hospital because a cataract appeared on my left eye.
Yeah.
And I saw the consultant at the hospital who said, yes, we need to take this off. And that was taken off around, I would say, probably about 2016. And it was fine, and everything was all right, and you then discharged again because and I went on all right. And then on a routine optician's appointment, the optician said to me he thought that the lens had got a little bit cloudy from when the cataract operation was done, and he thought that it probably needed lasering, and referred me back to the hospital. And when I eventually got to the hospital, I wasn't needing a laser, I'd got wet macular degeneration in that eye.
In the eye, isn't it?
So that was a bit of a shock. And then after a few months, we found that I had to start the injections, and they went on probably about 6 weeks.
Okay.
And then the right eye went wet.
Oh, okay.
So I was going to the hospital 1 week for an injection in here, 1 week for an injection in here, and it was like, do you know what I mean? And for me, eyes are the thing. Most people have these things where, I don't like my feet, or I don't like my hands, or I don't like this. I can't cope with eyes.
So every 2 weeks.
And the fact that anybody was going to be doing things to my eyes and putting things in my eyes and injecting my eyes, it was like, but actually it was all right.
Yeah.
Because everything is done so safely, etc. So we progressed from there. The left eye, they stopped injecting because they said it was deteriorating. I don't know all the details of that, but it was deteriorating, and it got sort of fractal vision sort of thing. I got really. And by Christmas last year, I think, all the injections were finished in both eyes. By that time, though, I had noticed a significant change in my vision, to the extent that 2 years ago I had stopped driving because of the fact that I couldn't see. I've been going to the hospital, obviously, because they say they want to keep you going for a year, and if your eye is all right for a year, they will discharge you.
Yeah. How does that feel though when they kind of say, out you go?
But they haven't got that
They've
far,
not got that far,
because
okay.
by the time, I haven't got through the year before the right eye had this sort of, I think the doctor described it as a significant cataract on this eye.
Yeah.
So the situation that I'm in now is that I am waiting for the operation on my right eye to have this removed, and it's been quite a long time to wait.
And your vision, I think it was August when I referred you back to them with the
You did.
changes. So,
You did.
And you've still not heard.
You referred me in August. I saw a doctor in September. I had a pre-op in October, and they said I would definitely have the operation by Christmas.
Okay.
They said there were 3 layers of, there's 1 is urgent, 2 is semi-urgent, and 3 is routine, and they put me on to 2.
2, okay, yeah.
But I haven't been seen since, you know. So, and my vision has deteriorated.
Yeah,
there's no question about the fact that, you know, there's things I can't do.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So you've had a bit of a journey. Hard to give up the license. Tough one, that.
Yes.
Yeah. How would you say? You know, how did that feel when it was like?
The journey's been hard because I am a very independent person, and I live on my own. And I'm used to being able to do all sorts of different things whenever I want to, and, you know, at a moment's notice. And when I wasn't told I had to give up my car, and I was quite determined not to give up my car. I'm not that bad. You know, I can see all right, etc., etc.
Yeah.
But I got to a point where I realised, actually, I can't see well enough to drive. And reluctantly, I did give up my car. But not without a lot of thought, because it's like, you know, the doctor's is a mile down the road and it takes me an hour to get there on the bus and back and blah. And,
I see,
you know,
just things like, you know, if I've run out of milk, I would normally jump in the car and go.
That's
get
a
it,
big
isn't it?
thing for me, because, you know,
Instant.
there is a shop sort of within walking distance, but, you know, you get up in the morning and you want a cup of coffee, and you've run out of milk and it's pouring with rain. And I really do not want to go, but the only way I'm going to get a coffee is if I get my shoes on and I go out in the rain and do that. And that's quite hard. Also, the social aspect of it was quite difficult, you know, sort of not being able to go out and see friends, and the world becomes very, very small.
It does, doesn't it?
Yeah,
Very, very
it
small.
does,
And I was used to having a job that wasn't small, you know, and that was massive in terms of what was happening. So
Tough.
it was very
frustrating.
it was.
I bet you
it
must
was
have felt quite
frustrating.
angry. You know, feel sometimes, you know,
Well,
really angry.
To start with, it was, well, I'm not going to.
Yeah.
You know, nobody's going to tell me to do
Denial,
this.
isn't
Yeah.
it? Yeah, I'm not
Right? It was the denial.
Yeah.
And then it was, well, no, nobody is going to tell me, but I'm going to have to do it myself.
Yeah.
Because for me, that was a big thing. Don't tell. I'm one of those people, if you tell me to do something, I'll think, well, why should I? Right. But,
I can relate.
but I knew I couldn't drive.
Yeah.
I knew I was not safe.
And the last thing is you don't want to hurt
And you don't
anyone.
want to hurt anybody. You really don't want to hurt anybody. You know, I've got grandkids and I live near a school, and there's all sorts of different things there. So I went through that whole process of losing my car, of grieving for my car. And
it is like a bereavement.
it
When
is.
you lose
There's no
It's
question
loss,
about
yeah.
it. It's sort of, and it's also a bereavement for you. It's you as a person. I was a person, and I lived in a particular world, and now I'm a person who lives in a different world, who can't actually see.
And you didn't choose it.
And I didn't choose it.
choose it,
I didn't want it. I didn't
Yes.
know anything about it,
Yes.
which is also something else. I like to know about
Yeah.
the world in
Yes.
which I'm living. And, you know, all these sorts of things that you come across where, okay, so I've got to cross the road. Well, that grey line means that there's a curb, but in parts of town it doesn't mean there's a curb. It means it's It's straight. So you think you're going down a curb, but you're not. And you go around the corner, and there's a curb, and you are going. It's like, what's going on here?
And something you used to just walk.
But
you
I
just used to walk, and you'd never thought about curbs.
I know, and that was, I used to go out with my family, and we used to go walking in the woods, and I found things were really, really difficult in terms of uneven pathways. We like to run down there, and when you can't do that, so the world became very, very small, and for a while I felt very, very small in that I need to stay in this world. I don't understand it, but I can't move out of it.
You didn't feel safe, did you not? Safe to move out?
You don't feel safe, and you lose confidence.
Yeah.
And you think, you go to the shops and you're having to say, could you tell me what the sell-by date is, please? And it's like...
You can see how someone that doesn't have your attitude to life, you want to kind of question things, that then it just gets smaller.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It must be terrifying for some people who are in this situation that really don't,
Yeah.
But, that's where I'm at the moment. And each time I do go, I make sure I go out because, if you sit in a chair at my age, you die. Do you know what I mean? So I like to go out every day and wander about and do things. If you do that, it causes
me a lot of paperwork, and I don't like paperwork.
Well, I know, yeah. I think that's a pretty poor way to
poor way of doing it.
It is really. You just don't want to do that, do you? No. So I just sort of, I do things that I like to do, and I meet people that, and I come down here, which is the thing for me in terms of, I have met people here that I would never have come across in my life because they live in a completely different sphere to which I did. Circle, and you just share this commonality. And there is something about how it brings everybody together in terms of, it's not like you sit around and sort of say, what's wrong with you? But the fact that everybody is in the same boat that they can't actually see
that community
very well. There is very definitely that sort of community in terms of, it's very, and you notice people in town too. When you bought a new car or you look out for suddenly you see lots of cars that are the same as the one that
you're right, you do,
that sort of thing. Well, I'm in a situation where suddenly the whole world is blind.
Yeah.
Where I go, you see all these people that can't even see. But I do appreciate the fact that I am a lot better than a lot of people, but I do have a lot of difficulties really. So
I think we've also one of the things is that when we said this quite a few times, that when we look at you, there's no outward sign of any visual disability. Is there?
And that's the thing.
It's really tricky
and it is. You don't know that. I've got my grandson is autistic, and you wouldn't. He has no outward signs, and he's a graduate apprenticeship at British Aerospace, and and.
You wouldn't know it.
Nobody would know that he had anything, and they don't when you. But if people do recognise the fact that you can't see very well, I do find that you get a lot of help from people.
Yes.
And the area that I found quite people, young men between about 17 and 25 seem to be extremely helpful, and I think they perhaps think, oh well, this might be my granny. Do you know what I mean? That sort of thing. And they, would you like some help? And do you need this? And it's
because that's the kind of age and type of person that you would expect not to.
Well, people always say about young people, and the young people are terrible. This and this and this. But those are because I'll go to the bus and say, is this what number is this bus? And and it's the younger people that are particularly helpful.
That's
with
good
you.
for. That's better than I thought it would be for the future. They're the ones that are going to look after us.
That's it. Absolutely.
So, are there what specific things that kind of hurt more when you're out and about that really have got you?
Now,
apart from driving, obviously.
Because you're a little bit in limbo land now, aren't you?
I am
While
in
you're
limbo
waiting
land
for
because
this
I'm waiting for this
cataract,
operation. But I'm also aware, having seen you several times, that this cataract is thickening all the time.
It is,
and my eyes have changed significantly. I am unable to read or write. I can't read now with the magnification that I've got, but we've talked about magnification, and there's no point in doing anything about it until this has come off.
Nothing, major.
So my daughter or my son or somebody or another tends to come up, and every time I've got to have something read. But I mean, you know, you read emails and you can't read your anything at all on the internet. I like films, right? And I can see the television if we sort of had the television where you are. But I mean, my daughter was saying about a television program you really need to watch. But of course, it's got a lot of subtitles. I thought, well, that's no point for me. And a lot of plot things on the television get moved forward by a text message or little bits of information on the screen. Well, I've lost it then. So those are things. So those everyday things there that I can't do. But shopping is hard.
Is that reading the prices?
Because I can't. I'm all right if there's a colour, you know, if there's colours. But I mean, I was buying some hair mousse, right, which I always buy, and it's the same brand. But I didn't know whether I'd picked up the mousse or the the hairspray.
Yeah.
You know, and those sorts of things. And sell by dates, and you know. It's just so difficult to sort of work out those things because you can't read the shelves and you can't see particularly. I've broken a few things. You know, a few glasses have been dropped around the place and things like that. But and I find it's frustrating. You know, all these years that I've lived on my own and I've never broken a thing, and all of a sudden,
suddenly,
oh well, I just missed that and I missed that, and
Okay.